What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to predict every single top 25 game for week 3 of the 2025 college football season. I'm going to go through every game, predict the scores as well as the spreads and the over-unders, and break down every game. But before we do that, let's give a quick recap of how I did last week. Last week, overall, despite some of the upsets, I had a pretty good week. I went 19-4 overall. Ultimately, this is what I'm expecting, though there were a lot of FCS games. As we get later in the season, it's going to get more difficult and my record will probably go down a bit. But against the spread, it's much harder, and I definitely didn't have the best week. I went 10-13. But on the over-unders, I flip-flopped. I did better. I went 13-10. So I wouldn't say a bad week of picking over-unders. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into predicting the week 3 games. Starting off with the first top 25 matchup Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, between number 22 Indiana and Indiana State. It took Indiana time, but they picked it up against Kennesaw State. This is a Kennesaw State team that held Wake Forest to 10 points. Indiana struggled against Old Dominion in week 1. It could have been a tough one against Kennesaw State. And it was for almost the whole first half, but they turned it up. They went for over 50 points, and Fernando Mendoza definitely picked it up and had a big game. Indiana has been a pretty solid FCS team in recent memory, and this season is going good so far. They're 2-0. But regardless, I think Indiana is going to have their best game of the season yet. Curt Cignetti will have this team rolling. Give me Indiana 63-7. There's no line for this game yet, so I only predicted the score. The next game is Northwestern versus number 4 Oregon. I don't care if Oregon is on the road in this game. Northwestern has not looked good at all this season. Northwestern has struggled and they couldn't really do anything against that Tulane defense in week 1. And Oregon is on fire right now. They have so much talent. I don't see Northwestern stopping them at all. I don't care if Northwestern has a better defense than Oklahoma State probably. Oregon should win this game big. Give me Oregon 48-6 on the road. Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks usually have good road success. I expect a big win for them, 48-6. I love Oregon minus 27.5 in this game. And give me the over. The next game is Georgia Tech versus number 12 Clemson. There's a lot of teams on upset alert this week, and Clemson has to be one of them. And I do not love this test for Clemson early in the season, knowing how the line of scrimmage has played in the first couple of weeks. They played a bit better at Troy. They did run for over 100 yards, but it did take a lot of carries. The run defense looked better, but Georgia Tech is no joke. They run the ball super well, and the defense is not bad. And they have a gritty quarterback in Haynes King who I think could give that Clemson defense trouble. Clemson just has not looked their best. This is a tough road test for Clemson early in the season. I think Georgia Tech is a legit playoff contender. I just love their style of play. I know they only beat Colorado by a touchdown in week 1, but it should have been much more than that. And it was only week 1. Give me Georgia Tech to stun Clemson at home 24-20 in a low-scoring battle. I'm taking Georgia Tech and the plus 3.5. And I have the under for this game. The next game is Temple playing number 13 Oklahoma. This is one of the weird games this week. There's a reason Oklahoma's line is pretty low, only at 24.5 as of the making of this video. Temple is actually looking solid and could make a bowl game, maybe do more than that in year 1 under Casey Keeler, the longtime Sam Houston head coach. He is making an impact in day 1. The offense has been looking pretty solid, and I think they'll challenge Oklahoma a bit in this game. I just don't see Oklahoma being that motivated in a road game like this, so definitely don't take this one lightly. I think Oklahoma does win it though, they just have too much on defense. Give me Oklahoma in a weird low-scoring game, 27-9. I just think that's going to be the type of game. I think Temple covers the 24.5 and I have the under. The next game is number 19 Alabama versus Wisconsin, Saturday 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I know the outcome for this game was definitely lopsided for Alabama last season, but in recent memory, this is the type of team Alabama has struggled with, a gritty team that can stop the run and run the ball well. Wisconsin is just that. Alabama lost to both Michigan and Oklahoma last season, and I think we could see another struggling performance for Alabama. I just do not trust that team right now in the line of scrimmage play. I was high on Kalen DeBoer, but they haven't showed anything to show that they are a very good team this season. And I'm not overreacting to that 73-0 win over UL Monroe. And Wisconsin has a good secondary. I think they'll be able to contain Alabama. I think Alabama finds a way at home 27-13. But I love Wisconsin plus 20.5. That's just a lot of points. And give me the under. The next game is number 23 Michigan versus Central Michigan. Look for a big bounce back game for Michigan. I expect Bryce Underwood to have a really good game. He had that road test against Oklahoma. He's going to be more comfortable. And I just think Michigan's going to take it out on Central Michigan. They have it at home. Give me Michigan 42 to 10 in this game, covering the minus 27.5, and I have the over. The next game is number 24 Auburn versus South Alabama, Saturday 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Auburn is looking pretty good this season, maybe a borderline top 25 team, maybe better than that, who knows. Auburn had that big win over Baylor on the road in week 1, and I really think that was a good win. I think Baylor's defense just isn't great, but Baylor has a very electric offense with one of the best quarterbacks in Sawyer Robertson. Auburn also dominated Ball State. Jackson Arnold had a nearly perfect game, and they held Ball State to under 70 yards. South Alabama's offense is looking pretty good, but I think Auburn's going to have another big showing. I don't like that South Alabama defense. They had a chance to beat Tulane last week. They missed that opportunity. I think they definitely lose to Auburn in this game big. Give me Auburn 49 to 14. I think they cover the minus 27.5, and I have the over. Auburn should blow out South Alabama. The next game is number 2 Penn State versus Villanova. You had the week 1 and the week 2 sloppy performances. You have another cupcake and probably an even bigger cupcake in Villanova. I think Penn State is going to clean up some issues because last week they definitely struggled. I still think this team is a national title contender and my favorite team in the nation. They just aren't playing up to their standard right now and playing very passive right now. They'll give me Penn State to break loose a little bit in this game, 56 to nothing. The next game is number 15 Tennessee versus number 6 Georgia, Saturday 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Game day will be heading to Knoxville. Tennessee's offense has looked amazing, but the defense is concerning me. The secondary has not looked good, and they have their top 2 cornerbacks out for this week. I think this is a great spot for Georgia to show something in the passing game with Zach Branch, the transfer, Noah Thomas, and some of the other guys. I think Georgia has an improved receiving core. I think they'll be able to run the ball in this game and control the line of scrimmage. I don't love Tennessee in this game. Joey Aguilar is very turnover prone. I know he looked good in the first 2 weeks, but that Georgia defense is a different level. Georgia has really owned Tennessee in recent memory. It is college football. Tennessee has it at home. I don't see the upset though. Give me Georgia 31 to 21, covering the minus 7, and I have the over. The next game is number 21 Texas Tech versus Oregon State, Saturday 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Oregon State transfer quarterback Malik Murphy has looked pretty good, but the defense for Oregon State has looked bad, and special teams really lost them the game against Fresno State. They have a lot to clean up, and I just don't love the team around Malik Murphy. Give me Texas Tech 41 to 20. I think Oregon State will be able to do a little bit offensively, and I think they do enough to cover the plus 24.5, and I have the under for this game. The next game is Arkansas State versus number 14 Iowa State. Iowa State won this game no problem last season. They do have it on the road this season. And I know it was Arkansas, a SEC team, but Arkansas State's defense gave up 56 points to them, and they just let Taylor Green run all over them. I think Arkansas State has some questions on defense again. I don't think it's Arkansas State's year to break through in the Sun Belt. Give me Iowa State to win this game 34 to 13 and cover the minus 20.5, and I have the under. The next game is number 25 Missouri versus Louisiana. Missouri has been a team that has been flying under the radar all offseason, and even in the first couple of weeks of this season. Bo Perbula is actually looking excellent at quarterback, surprisingly. We know what he can do with his legs, but the dude has an incredible arm, and he's actually looked nice. And that offense has a ton of weapons. I think they are actually a lot better offensively this season than they were last season, despite losing guys like Brady Cook, Luther Burden, and more. But Ahmad Hardy is just that guy at running back, and they have a lot of young talent coming up at wide receiver. This is a good line of scrimmage as well, and they had a top 10 transfer portal class. The defense is looking decent. I really like this Missouri team. I have them ranked inside of my top 20. I think the college football landscape is wide open. There's not a lot of elite teams or anything like that. But I think Missouri will cruise to another big win. Louisiana is not great. It looks like they're going to take a bit of a step back. Give me Missouri 53 to 10, covering the minus 25.5, and I have the over. The next game is number 7 Texas versus UTEP, Saturday 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not going to say much about this game. UTEP's not a great football team. They're in the group of 5. Malachi Nelson is not that guy at quarterback. That's why he went to a group of 5 team. Give me Texas 42-0. I think they find a shutout in this game. I think they cover minus 41.5, and I have the under. The next game is number 5 Miami versus number 18 South Florida, Saturday 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I am looking forward to this game. Two gritty teams and two teams with a lot to prove. Look, South Florida beating Boise State and Florida is one thing, but if they beat Miami, that's no fluke win at all. Miami beat Notre Dame and really looked dominant in week 1. And Miami is a tough physical team at the line of scrimmage. If South Florida does what they did to Florida against Miami, or at least competes at the line of scrimmage, this is probably a top 15, top 10 team. I don't care if they're in the group of 5, that is an extremely physical defense. And South Florida has potential to do something crazy this year. If they can beat Miami, all I gotta say is wow. But I do think Miami just has too many clutch players. Give me Miami 31-17. I am taking South Florida plus 16.5. I think they keep themselves in this game, and I have the under. The next game is number 1 Ohio State versus Ohio. Ohio looks like they could go back to back in the MAC. Parker Navarro is an absolute baller at quarterback. In the first 2 weeks, he led the team in passing and in rushing. So look for Ohio to possibly challenge Ohio State for a quarter or two. I think they got a really talented offense. They got a really good running back as well. They got some guys back, and they got a good head coach. But we know how these games are. They might be close for a little bit, but usually the more talented and elite team takes it away. I think Ohio State wins big, 49-13. I have them covering the minus 31.5, and I have the over. The next game is number 9 Illinois versus Western Michigan. Western Michigan is 0-2 through the first couple of weeks. The offense has showed some promise. They went into overtime with North Texas. They had some good drives against Michigan State, but I do think Illinois is much better than Michigan State. I think they have a more put together roster and more experience. I like this Illinois squad. Maybe not as much as some people like them, but they're still a good team. Give me Illinois 41-14. I think Western Michigan will cover the 27.5, and I have the over. The next game is number 17 Ole Miss versus Arkansas. I think this is a big trap game for Ole Miss. You played Kentucky on the road last week. Now you get Arkansas at home. Arkansas is a team with a lot to prove, and they're going to be ready going into this game. I love Taylor Green at quarterback. I think he could give that Ole Miss defense trouble. And Austin Simmons has been turnover prone. I don't know why, but I just think this is one of those early SEC upsets. Give me Arkansas to pull it off. I think they have enough on offense, and Ole Miss isn't looking that great this year. Give me Arkansas 31-28, covering the plus 9.5, and I have the under. The next game is number 3 LSU versus Florida. This Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This could be a top 15 matchup if Florida didn't go and lose to a group of 5 team. But I look for this game to be pretty close, and Florida's definitely going to play a lot better after that bad performance last week. Billy Napier had them bounce back last season, and I still really love the roster for Florida. I do think South Florida is actually a good football team. The play calling needs to be better. Florida needs to execute better on offense, but the talent is there. Lagway is one of the better quarterbacks in the nation, and this is a big opportunity for Florida to beat the number 3 team. They've been struggling offensively. They have their center out, and the offensive line has showed some issues. I think this will be very low scoring, your average SEC gritty game, but give me LSU to pull it off because of the defense. 20-17. I think Florida covers plus 6.5, and I have the under. The next game is number 8 Notre Dame versus number 16 Texas A&M. Notre Dame beat Texas A&M by 2 scores last season on the road. They get this one at home off of a bye week. They already played a very good opponent in Miami. I think CJ Carr is going to show some good things in this game against a weak Texas A&M secondary. I just haven't loved what I saw from Texas A&M through the first 2 weeks, giving up over 40 combined points to UTSA and Utah State. I like Notre Dame to get it done 27-20 at home, covering the minus 6.5, and I have the under. The next game is number 11 South Carolina versus Vanderbilt, Saturday 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Upset alert once again. South Carolina has really not looked great through the first 2 weeks at all. I think they are way overranked and overhyped because of Lenore Sellers. The offensive line has looked pretty bad, giving up a ton of pass rushes through the first 2 weeks. And they actually got outgained in yards last week against an FCS team, and they really struggled against Virginia Tech. This is a Vanderbilt team that went on the road and dominated the second half against Virginia Tech. They won by 24 points. People look at the logo and completely disregard this Vanderbilt team, but they returned a lot this season, and Diego Pavia is that good at quarterback. They got some talented guys on offense, and the wide receiver position is pretty good. They got some good transfers. Vanderbilt was getting to Kyron Jones all night. They had 3 or 4 sacks. I think they'll do the same to Lenore Sellers. South Carolina's O-line has struggled. I don't love South Carolina's offensive talent. They're just a very streaky team, and they got hot at the end of last season. But I really think Vanderbilt is a legit squad, and the defense isn't bad either. Give me Vanderbilt to get it done on the road, 24-17. I think they cover plus 5.5, and I have the under. And finally, we have Wyoming playing number 20 Utah Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Wyoming is looking like the Wyoming of old years. They started 2-0, and they had a shutout win. The defense is looking good again. Utah's also looking good, getting ranked inside the top 20. Devin Dampier is a very good dual threat quarterback pickup for that team, and the offensive coordinator is making a difference. When you bring an OC and a quarterback over from one team to another, it can make a difference, and it's showing. I love this Utah squad. Kyle Whittingham has shown why he's still a great head coach. Utah has had one losing season in a decade, probably longer than that. It could be a tricky road game, but give me Utah 34-10, covering minus 22.5, and I have the under. So anyways, that is going to do it for this video. You guys leave your predictions down in the comments below. Now let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content. And we basically cover everything on this channel, so definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below and also in the pinned comment, as well as my membership for $5 a month. In that membership, you have exclusive perks. That includes talking college football with me Saturday mornings in my Discord server and a voice channel. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.